Good evening and welcome to the Schuylkill Valley Chapter of Credit Unions Presents a Homebuyer Education Series. This is the fifth in a series of 6 homebuyer education pieces that is sponsored by 14 credit unions that belong to the Schuylkill Valley Chapter. We'll identify those later on in the program. I am Trish Shermot. I represent CTCE Federal Credit Union, along with Bob Zwolinski, who's from Sun Federal Credit Union. And we have 2 special guests today for our program, Mike Fella from Door to Door Home Inspection, and also Rob Deering, who is from O'Brien's Moving and Storage, and they'll add some really neat tips and tricks with our program today. Let's go over what we want to talk about today. As we have with all of the programs that have been presented, we're going to talk a little bit about establishing and maintaining a household budget. And Bob's really our expert in that area and has presented that information, so we'll turn it over to him in a minute. We're also going to look with our guests on how to move successfully, and also once you're in your home, how to look at those things that really brought light to my eyes when we went over it in a session earlier today. We're also going to talk a little bit about conserving energy and some tips also in that area. I'm going to turn it now over to Bob, who's going to talk now about our budgeting and identifying some goals. Bob?
Great, thanks, Trish. I know we sound like a broken record because we've talked about this at each show, but tracking those expenses, it's really important that we find these spending leaks so that you can put that money to good use. Put it towards savings, maybe pay down some debt you have. Set smart financial goals. So those are goals that are specific, they're measurable, adjustable, realistic, and time-oriented. An example might be, instead of buying lunch every day when you're at work, you're going to take lunch. This way, that savings, you can say, I'm going to take that savings, put it towards a credit card, pay down that credit card maybe over the next 12 months. So there you have something specific and measurable. And there's certainly a lot of benefits to doing that. Prepare a household spending plan. You're going to be purchasing a home. You're going to have some other type of expenses. Those are going to be the utilities and such. So you want to be able to keep track of it, be prepared, and by doing the spending plan, you're going to be right on track. Keep good financial records. Find a good place to put everything. Track it. You might have to rely, on those items in the future. Check your credit reports annually. You should do that anyway. You can go to annualcreditreport.com. That is the only site you can go to. That is free. You can check all the 3 bureaus, pull up your credit report, make sure it's accurate. If you need work, stop by your loan officer at the credit union and get some help. And always establish emergency funds. Having savings, that's what's really going to be key in any type of emergency. You got something that's going to help you weather the storm. So let's go ahead and look at the next step on here, and the debt management tips. If you're going to use a credit card, use it responsible. We're talking about not creating any type of new debt. We're talking about spending that money, tracking it, and when the bill comes in, pay it in full. Once you get rid of those charge cards, what happens is now you've got extra money. You can go ahead and start paying down, that principal. You're freeing up money. You could either put it down in the savings account, establish that emergency fund, or even go ahead and pay down that new mortgage. And practice good day-to-day habits. Make everything a habit so then it becomes part of what you do every day, keeping track of your money, creating a savings, and of course paying off that debt as it comes in. Now we're going to go ahead and welcome Rob Deering. He's at O'Brien's Moving. Rob's going to cover a lot of great information on moving. I know we were really impressed with all of his stories. He's got some great tips. So Rob, I'm going to hand it over to you, and let's go. Let's see what kind of tips you got there.
Okay, thanks, Bob. My name's Robert Deering. I am with O'Brien's Moving and Storage. We're an agent for Allied Van Lines. I've been a certified moving consultant for about 17 years. O'Brien's has been here in Reading since 1928. We're the largest Allied agent in Pennsylvania, and we're in the top 10 for the whole country. Tonight I want to go over a couple of tips that I've learned over the years to help your move go more smoothly. We're going to help figure out budget, whether it's better to go do the move yourself or whether it would be better to hire a moving company. When you're going to, if you're planning on doing a move yourself, you want to set a budget and you want to figure out what the costs are going to be. Things to think about in your budget: how much is the truck going to cost? Do they charge by the hour? Do they charge by the day? Are they going to charge you a mileage? how much they charge for fuel, or if you can buy the fuel yourself. If you're figuring your fuel costs in, you want to figure that a truck is going to average about 5 miles to the gallon. So you figure the total miles from the time you pick the truck up to the time you take the truck back, divide that by 5, multiply that by the price per gallon, and you'll be able to figure out your fuel costs. You also want to figure how much is it going to cost in tolls. And remember, trucks are always more expensive in tolls than cars. You want to check with the rental company. Does the fee that they're charging you, does that cover the use of hand trucks, refrigerator dollies? Are they going to include moving pads, or is that going to be an additional charge? You also want to check with your auto coverage and make sure that you're covered for the move if something were to happen, or if you have to buy additional coverage through the rental company, just in case there is an accident for the with the truck. The other things to think about if you're going to be doing a do-it-yourself move, there are going to be some extra risks that you're going to incur. God forbid somebody does get hurt on the doing the move. If you've asked somebody to help you, are they going to be covered? If something happens with the truck, is that going to be covered? If something happens to your new house, will that also be covered? So now you set a budget, you figured out how much you want to spend on a move. Good idea to call a professional moving company to come in to give you an estimate to see what it would cost to have a moving company do it. Local moves go by the hour. You will pay the actual hours. So you'll have somebody come in and give you an estimate on how many hours they think it's going to take. Remember, in Pennsylvania, we're regulated by the Public Utility Commission, and you do pay the actual hours. If you get a 5-hour estimate and it takes 4 hours, you pay 4. If you get a 4-hour estimate and it takes 6, you'll pay for 6. All companies are licensed through the Public Utility Commission if you're going to move inside the state of Pennsylvania. Good website you can go on to make sure the company is licensed. www.puc.state.pa.us. You can go on to make sure the company you're talking to really is a moving company. If you're going to move out of state, interstate shipments go by weight and distance. We're regulated by the federal government when we cross state lines. Good website to go on to make sure the company really is a moving company is www.protectyourmove.gov. And again, you can go on to make sure the company you're talking to really is a moving company. There are companies that advertise on the internet as moving companies, but they're really not. They end up taking people's things and then they just disappear, and there's no way to ever find them. There's no physical address to go to get your things back. Couple quick ways to make sure you can tell if it is really a moving company. If they will not come out to your house to give you an in-home estimate, it's probably not really a moving company. And if they ask for a deposit up front, they're probably not a moving company. And I would never give a credit card deposit for a moving company in advance. Couple of things, you don't have to do everything, or we don't have to do everything. If you want to move some of the small things and have a moving company just do the heavy things, you can do that. If you want to do your own packing, you can do some of the packing, you can do all the packing, you can do none of the packing. You can figure out, set your budget, figure out what you want to spend, and then what you want to do. So you can kind of tailor your move to how much you want to spend. Getting ready to move, most important thing you can do is plan ahead and then plan early. Start early. You want to figure out what things you want to take, what things are worth taking. A quick tip, if you haven't used it in the last year, you're probably never going to use it again. You want to measure the things that you're taking and make sure it's going to fit into your new house. Again, it doesn't make any sense to pay to move something if it's not going to fit in your new home, or if it's something you're never going to use again. It doesn't make any sense to pay it. Either give it away before you move, give it to family, give it to friends, donate it, or sell it. Garage sales, great way to get rid of a lot of stuff in a hurry. If you can't get a lot for it, if you know you're not going to get a lot for it, sometimes you'll do a little bit better by donating it and taking the tax write-off. We have a lot of good local charities that can really use your things. Fill out your IRS and post office address change form. You want to do that 3 or 4 weeks before the move. Make sure everybody knows that you've moved. Get your medical, dental, and vet records in your hands, especially if you're leaving the state. Get those in your hands and take them with you if you're leaving the state. You want to take care of all your banking accounts here. You want to get your new banking account set up at the new in your new location. If we move you out of state, we are going to inventory everything. That way you'll be able to check off what we've taken is what you do get back. You want to make your arrangements with a moving company or reserve a truck. In the winter, fall, and spring, you probably want to do that 3 or 4 weeks in advance. If you're going to do that June, July, or August, you want to get on somebody's schedule about 6 weeks before your move date. A couple weeks before the move, you want to get your appliances, start getting your appliances serviced to get ready for moves. You want to stop writing checks on your old bank account, obviously. You want to get all your valuables out of your safe deposit box. Make sure you have all your financial records and all your legal records with you. Contact your insurance agent about coverage during the move. For all local and interstate moves, you automatically get scratch and dent coverage for free, but it is very minimal. It's 60 cents per pound per article, which means you have a 100-pound object, something happens to it, you only get $60 to fix it. You can buy replacement coverage. Always check with your homeowner's agent, see what you're already covered for, or see what they offer. Last thing, use up your food. Whatever you can't use before you go, we do have a local food bank that will always take whatever food you have left.
Wow, those are great tips. I think you came up with some more since we were talked earlier. So it's just more and more good information. Let's talk about the moving day, and a few weeks before the move. One of the things you want to do is talk about carrying your important documents and your valuables with you. And if you have an opportunity on your documents, you can even scan them and maybe put it on a portable hard drive so you have additional backup. Keep all your receipts. Some of those may be tax deductible. Your driver's license, auto registration, your pet tags, go ahead and update those. Find out about your area you're moving to. You want to know where you need to go in emergency, where the hospital is, the police. Get familiar where the school is, where the veterinarian is. So get to know your area, your new home. Go ahead and revise your will if you have one. If you don't, maybe it's a good time to go ahead and create one. How about your neighbors? Good time to get to know your neighbors when you're moving in. Your neighbors can provide you with some great information about your town, local things that are going on, and good opportunity to meet everybody. Everybody works together, they look out for each other, so it's a nice time to start your friendships there. How about shop for new insurance policies? You might want to do that simply because if you're in a different areas have different rates on insuring homes. Maybe it's a different house type that you're in. So those are all the things you might want to go ahead and update. Let's talk about getting to know your new home. And we're going to welcome Mike Fella. He's from Door-to-Door Home Inspection. And Mike's got some great tips on your home. So Mike, you want to take it away?
Sure. Hello, I'm Mike Fella. I'm with Door-to-Door Home Inspections, one of the bigger inspection companies in Berks County. And we consider ourselves a homeowner's manual for your home. When you hire us to do a home inspection, we will walk through with you and teach you about the house that you're going to own. Some of the things that we look for when we go through is we identify your main water shutoff valves, your water and gas shutoff valves, main circuit breakers, emergency shutoff switch for your furnace, so that in the event of an emergency you can be better prepared to handle that emergency. In addition, chimney safety, as we're doing, if your house does have a chimney, we strongly suggest that you clean that chimney out because you never know who burned what in front of you. So we always recommend that you do have a chimney cleaner come in and check that out and get it cleaned up for you and ready to go. Smoke and carbon monoxide detectors, we do recommend one on every level and then one additionally in every bedroom as a safety precaution. And if you're buying an older home, please know that smoke detectors have a service life. And with that service life, we like to replace them. So if somebody's going to get you a housewarming present, it may be a good investment to ask them to get you a smoke detector or carbon monoxide detectors for those areas to protect you against any kind of mishap that may happen in your home. Carbon monoxide detectors, we like to have one in the area where the carbon monoxide may be produced, and then one up on the sleeping level so that if an incident would occur, it would wake you out of a sleep. Fire extinguishers, we do recommend fire extinguishers wherever you have combustibles. It's just a great way to protect your investment, and truly it's one of your biggest investments that you're going to make during the life of your home. Numbering of your home, we like to see 4-inch numbers on each home to identify that for emergency workers, that they can identify your home and get to you if you would have an emergency. And then personal security tips on a home. Of course, they're always, you know, you want to protect you and your family. And one of the ways that we do that is, as we're going through the inspection, we would look for anything that may be an opening for that type of entry. We recommend you always change your locks when you buy a home. The use of deadbolts on exterior doors, that's also recommended. Not the double keyed type, the single key type, for security reasons. Of course, we don't recommend that you hide your key underneath the mat or in the mailbox. It's just too well known, and everybody knows where to look for that. If you're ever going away on vacation or for a long-term extended period of time, you want to notify your neighbors, stop your newspapers and mail, don't have things accumulating on your front porch. You know, make sure your lawn's cared for so they can see that it's not, you've gone 2 weeks and the lawn's out of control. You know, keep a car parked in the driveway, and keep your property well lit, not only when you're not home, but even when you are. Low lighting is just key entry point for burglars. Garage door entry keys, keyless entries, again, you want to change the combination on that because it may be given out to several neighbors from the previous owner, and they would have access to your house as well. And then as far as security, again, you want to make sure you have serial numbers of your items that may be taken, VCRs, televisions, that type of thing. It's useful not only for the police, but also for your insurance record. So just a useful tip for you on that. And now we get into home maintenance. We do offer home maintenance inspections, but some of the things that we check for these would be weather stripping, caulking, insulation, just general weatherization. There are local utility companies that could be contacted for these types of inspections as well that would discount for the weatherproofing of the home or improvement. We would go over the furnace, which is part of the inspection, and that would be changing of the filters, that type of thing. Okay, it looks like we're gonna keep going.
Yep.
Okay. All right. I recommend the fall maintenance program, and that's because we want to clean the gutters after the leaves have fallen off the trees, and we don't want them blocking the gutters for snowfall. At this time, we'd also test the batteries and the smoke detectors, making sure that they all work. We would go through and check your dryer vents and clean out your refrigerator coils. 15,000 dryer fires a year, and so we want to make sure that link gets cleaned out so that you're not one of those statistics. You would look for any type of new cracks in windows, cracks around door settlement, anything that you may notice, and then you would just contact a professional to have that looked at. Inspecting the roof, you know, we tell folks to look at their interior ceilings, and if they ever see any water staining, of course, then they're going to contact a professional to address the roof situation. The staining will not go away, it will not get better, it will only get worse and cause damage in the meantime. So do contact a professional if you ever see that type of thing. Any kind of water leak in a home would be reported in the report as well. Leaky faucets could cost you just a ton of money, and you want to stay within your budget. If you're not watching or being proactive with that, you could get a water bill that will knock you off your chair when you get it. And so you could budget and not maintain, and it will catch you at the end. And of course, if you're a homeowner or a new homeowner and you haven't gotten utility bills yet, you will, and you just want to do everything you can to maintain a lower cost. There's some great products out there, you know, replacing incandescent light bulbs with CFLs, which are compact fluorescent lights. Change your old thermostat to a programmable type thermostat. Could save you a bunch of money on your heating system. Energy efficient heating and cooling systems, of course, that's a capital improvement, and one of the things that we do when we do the inspection would be to date your equipment for you and let you know that this is near or at the end of its service life or possibly beyond its service life. And at that point, you may consider a home warranty to keep your costs down. And I would just recommend that you would contact a professional realtor for that type of thing. Each company has different details and different coverage. Insulation, you can't get enough insulation in your house these days. It keeps going up and up and up as utility costs go up as well. Ceiling fans are a good way to keep some costs down without having to use air conditioning. Attic ventilation, of course, is checked during the inspection, is critical, both from a cooling and utility standpoint, but also from a managing standpoint. You could get mold in a house from lack of ventilation and increase utility bills. And so caulking and weather stripping is something that a homeowner can do, and we do recommend that. And you know, there's different caulkings for different applications, and so we would recommend that you read the labels and get the proper sealant for the job that you're doing.
Mike, it sounds overwhelming to me, and if I didn't get a home inspection when I was buying a house, I think I would really need one, because just the points that you brought up are so important and could really save me money. And as a new homeowner, if I didn't get a home inspection, how would I go about doing that?
Well, you could call our office. We do home inspections. We also do maintenance inspections. We do equipment inspections, heating, roofs, plumbing. We would break that out and do either. So we could just call the office and we could get you set up with what you need.
Wow. You know, Mike, it sounds like to me, I know the whole program is set up on, you know, new home purchases, but when you look at everything that you cover, I mean, you're looking at all the mechanicals, the heating system, cooling system, but you cover security. But it seems to me if you already own a home, it might be a wise investment just to go ahead and get an audit and have your home checked out, even if you've been in your home for a while. I mean, makes sense?
It's recommended. We do punch list inspections for builders as well. You know, some people might not know what to look for before they go back to their builder. So, yeah, anytime you need an inspection, you know, you should get somebody that knows, if it's a contractor or if it's a home inspector. Get somebody in there, walk through the house with you and help you get educated.
You know, one of the things I wanted to ask you about, how do you know if you're getting a quality home inspector? What do the consumers want to look for to make sure they're getting the right person?
Yeah, there's some national organizations that you want to look for. ASHI and NAHI are the two biggest. ASHI stands for the American Society of Home Inspectors, and NAHI is the National Association of Home Inspectors. And they have standards and a code of ethics that you need to work within to ensure that you're giving a good service to the folks and they're getting what they're paying for.
And you're a member of all of
Both
those
of them,
as
yes.
well. Terrific, terrific. Well, I know one of the things that Bob and I enjoyed so much before the show in talking to both Mike and Rob were some of their stories. So we have a couple minutes left. We'd like each of them to share a story with us. And Rob had some really good ones. Rob, tell us about what's your best moving story.
Well, I'll save the best one. I don't think we should probably put that one on the
Okay, yeah,
air.
we want
That's what
this
we can
is
talk about.
family.
This
family.
is a PG show.
Maybe the second best one. I was moving a young couple, and they were both doctors, and they weren't from this county, it was up north, and they were going to do all their own packing, and we show up on the day of the move, and I get a call from the crew. They hadn't packed a single box. Not a single box was packed. I get a panic phone call. The crew said, we don't know what to do. I said, don't worry. I'll start getting guys from that work in the warehouse. We'll get guys up. We'll bring packing material. I call them back about a half an hour later. I said, hey, I got 3 or 4 more guys coming. I got packing material. We'll be up there shortly. And the driver said, well, I think we're going to be okay. And I said, no, wait a minute. An hour ago, it was the end of the world. You didn't have a single box packed. He said, the couple showed up 5 minutes after we called you, and they had a bunch of used boxes. He said, and they're packing and they're keeping up with us. And I said, that's impossible. Professional packers can't keep up. He said, well, they're not really packing. They're taking drawers and they're dumping them into boxes. They're taking a box and they're putting it at the end of their dresser, and they're taking their arm and they're just scooping everything into boxes. And he said, they're actually keeping up with us. Wow. We were within an hour on the estimate, as it was, but that's not really recommended.
That's a good one.
I'm sure you could write a book on your stories. Well, Mike, I'm sure you have some stories to share as well.
Oh, absolutely.
What's a home inspection story that you can share with us here?
Well, we do all types of homes. So when we get, some are occupied, some are going to be new homeowners. In this particular case, it was a vacant home, or thought to be vacant. And of course, I opened the door and announced myself as the home inspector, even though it's vacant. We do that as a matter of practice. And I was confronted by a pit bull. Somebody had broken into the back door. It was a city property, and was maybe the guy's watching tonight. I don't know. It crashed in the back room and had his pit bull with him. And so this pit bull come to greet me, and of course we abandoned the home inspection and said, "Not today. It's not happening today." Yeah. And so, it's just some of the things that when you're working out in the field, that you come across. So.
I'm sure you have many animal stories, How about any words of caution, any last words, tips or tricks for our consumers out here?
Well, one thing I would recommend, go on to the state and the federal websites. There's a good moving site you can go on to called movingscam.com to see if it really is a moving company. I got bad news. There are no licensed moving companies advertising on Craigslist right now. So any of those companies that you get are not licensed. Again, pitfalls are they take your things, they take off, and they never come back. Or they'll hold your stuff hostage until you pay your bill. So you do want to make sure that the company you're choosing really is a licensed moving company.
Good information.
Mike, any closing tips for our consumers?
Well, sure. If you're going to purchase a home, you want to do your due diligence, your homework. So you're going to line yourself up with a pool of resources. That's going to be a lender, of course, a real estate professional, hopefully a guidance with a home inspector, so that when you're going into this, you're not going into it alone. You're getting guided by professionals that know what they're doing, of course. And then when the day comes to move, you're going to talk to this gentleman right here. But you do want to have yourself a pool of resources that you can just use them. You're paying money to have them work for you. Ask the questions, get the knowledge, and do the right thing, and then you'll have little to regret.
That's good information. I think that's what we've been saying the whole time, is that you're not doing this alone. You have all the resources sitting at this table, plus in the previous shows. So stop by the credit union, and you can go ahead and replay these shows, and you'll have people that will guide you through the process.
Again, all these resources are available on the BCTV website for every program that we've done. And we invite you to join us for our last program, which will be on April 2nd. At 8:30 p.m. And again, the Schuylkill Valley Chapter of Credit Unions, which contains 14 credit unions serving over 190,000 people and in Berks County with over $2 billion in assets. Thank you to our guests this evening.
Yeah, thank you.
And we look forward to talking to everybody next week.